The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air. Abram, leave your country, leave your people, leave your father's household, and go to a land that I am going to show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I am going to bless those who bless you, and whoever curse you, I will curse them as well. All the people of the earth will be blessed through you.
Through me? That's big. But I'm ready. I am ready. But that means I gotta move. Move away from all of my family and friends. Gotta take Lot with me. I gotta tell Sarai. This is gonna be good. Sarai.
Yes?
I just spoke to God.
Really?
Yes, like literally just spoke to him.
Okay.
He said he wants us to move.
Move where?
I don't know. And it's gonna take a lot of faith, but he said he's gonna make me a great nation. And I know it sounds very bizarre and crazy, but I trust him. And he said he's gonna bless anybody that bless me and curse anybody that curse me. So let's do it.
Imagine if God came to you and said, leave your country, leave behind your family, go to a place that I will show you. How many of us can honestly say that we will leave? Genesis chapters 11 and 12 introduce us to Abram, and God instructed him to do this very same thing, along with promising him many blessings. Abram did not hesitate. He did exactly what God instructed him to do. In this episode of A Breath of Fresh Air, we will start the story of Abram, the father of faith.
All right. So, welcome back to another episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. You know, we're starting to really build some momentum in the book of Genesis. Last week was a very nice story, talk about the story of the Tower of Babel and how everybody just dispersed after that. This week, I'm pleased to say we have another guest. Oh yeah, and it's a special guest. Woo. You understand? It's someone who's very near and dear to my heart. It is my girlfriend.
Okay.
Ayanna Alberston.
Okay.
You understand? And
Okay.
I ain't even gonna gas her too much, you know what I mean?
What you mean, boy? Say them credentials, boys. Say them credentials.
Okay. The number 2 woman poet in the world. It's only one who had better opportunity than her. That's what I say. You know what I'm saying? And that's only happenstance. You feel me? And I just thank the Lord for like His blessings on her. You know, her being able to tell her story, tell her truth. You know, it's a little introduction. I'm sorry, but
thank you.
Ayanna, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo.
All right. Say something for the people. You know.
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be here.
I feel good.
She's shy.
Don't worry, we can get you into the pod world. I don't know if you ever done a pod before.
Not other than the one I was trying to
start up.
Yeah, start it myself.
I got you. So yeah, this episode we're gonna be talking about Abram.
Abram. Which one it is?
not quite Abraham yet.
Okay,
So if you've read up to where I've read, you wouldn't even know who Abraham is.
Okay.
You understand? I've only seen the name Abram.
Oh, okay. You got a point there.
He ain't go ham yet.
Oh, see, sure, ladies and gentlemen.
She done start.
All right, that's a bar though. I can't even front. That's a bar. So yeah. So, and I think we're gonna spare you all the lineage conversation now, because I feel like we started off with a bang with the lineages, but it's not something that we could have sustained, you know. And it's,
Gave him that one gem that time.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you. But yeah, so what's important to note is that Abram came from the line of Shem. Last week we spoke about Nimrod and just the people in the Tower of Babel story, and Nimrod was a descendant of Ham, and we could see like the contrast between brothers once again, similar to what we saw with Seth and Cain, you know. But Abram, so we're looking at Genesis 13 and Genesis 11, verse 27 is a good place to start. That's after the lineages. So these were the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Isaac, or Iskar, I guess. So, and it's like sometimes when you're not really paying attention to the text, especially in lineages, you might miss some connections they put together there. But what's interesting to me is that it sounds like Nahor married his niece.
Man, it don't even sound like that. That's what it is.
Yeah, so Nahor married his niece, and it's something that you can tiptoe over in the Bible, especially in the book of Genesis if you want to. But just to be realistic, it comes a time when you actually have to have this conversation and kind of understand what's going on, because it sounds like something that's very taboo, you know, in today's today's society. Like marrying or even having kids, procreating with somebody so close to you is actually viewed as unfavorable, I'd say.
Like one thing I'd say here, I really appreciate how the Bible, I make it so like I don't appreciate other places in the Bible, but I appreciate right here in the Bible how it actually showed you who Abram married, and like how some of the Haran and Haran married Milcah and Iscah, whatever. Because like when we got Adam and Eve, we know Adam and Eve, God made Adam and Eve. But then remember when we had the Cain and Abel, we had like who did Cain marry? But you gotta remember, so like Adam and Eve had more children. Mm-hmm. They had other daughters.
They were about to, yeah.
Exactly. So Cain realistically married his sister.
Yeah.
And you would say like, okay, well, how is this a thing? Why is this a thing? Well, the gene pool their DNA was as close to perfect as it could be. So them intermarrying wasn't going to be as big of a deal as it is now, where our genes are so corrupted and so diluted. It really, when you marry your sister, there are going to be defects that happen.
It's like nowadays when you eat like chicken or certain plants and stuff like that, and you put yourself at risk of getting cancer or certain things because of the way everything deteriorated because of sin.
Yeah, and like I even give you a better example too. Is like why pure breed, like if a pure breed dog, why it's so susceptible to health risks now is because you already trimmed out all of the other genes that would have helped strengthen the dog's genes. Now you have it so concentrated that anything else, like it doesn't just have anymore. Mm. So if we were to take their genetics, it had almost everything. So like
I get what you're saying now.
Exactly. So like you know like when you did like basic genetics in science or something, you said, okay, what does it take for a baby to have a blue chromosome, like a blue eyes, that the daddy had blue eyes and the mommy didn't? Mm-hmm. And you know, it has to get the parent, like the gene from the parent with the blue eyes. So now when you have a purebred, you have all of these genes, we have none of these outside genes. Mm-hmm. So back then, their genes was like everything.
Everything, yeah.
So it wasn't as concentrated on, it was, yeah, so now we're so diluted that you can't have it. You need that outside reference to bring something back and bring something new.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, bro. That makes perfect sense. And these were just things that I would say had to happen because of the state of the world. And then, as everybody migrating, the world is more populated. Now we have the world that we have today, but it was pretty common practice. And this, what I'm about to say is, it's not for nothing right now, but Adam and Eve, like you could say they were siblings, really and truly. You know what I'm saying? Like the only parent was God. I mean, I'm not justifying doing this type of thing, but it just go to show, like when they, like you say, the perfect genes that they had, it just had endless possibilities.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like the effects of I was gonna say mating as if they like not humans. You know what I'm saying? But the effects of procreating with someone so close just had so much options, and it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't box you into having some type of defect. You understand? And like I feel like it's important for us to preface with this because we see this happen a couple other times during the whole Abram saga. You understand? With Abram and Lot, we see something like this happening, and we could especially with Lot, we could see it from two different angles. So, yep. Interesting about Abram's family is that Lot would have probably, up to this point, Lot would have probably been the closest thing to an offspring that he had because Lot was his nephew, and his brother, Abram's brother, Haran, had passed away.
He got often.
Yeah, R.I.P. And Sarai, Abram's wife, was barren. So it's a pretty interesting situation.
It's interesting how they knew that she was barren from then.
Yeah, see? When, and I might be jumping the gun, but when Abram got his message from God to move, he was 75.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's true too.
So if you try, like let's say they got married during regular, like today's times. Let's say they got married at around 30. He would have been spending 45 years to have children. And you could only assume that she was barren.
This is something's up.
Yeah, something's up.
Something's up, buddy.
I guess she can't. You know what I'm saying?
Abram's like, I'm trying.
I'm trying.
I'm going to say Abram.
Who's that?
Oh boy. Oh boy. So I mean, and this is gonna be on a completely unrelated note, but I just had to Google what Lot means. And I'm like, Lot is just such a unsuspecting, it's a boring name, but Lot means covering or veil, just in case anybody out there really cared about what Lot means.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, Lot, you're Lot.
Yeah, like I know out of all the unique names they was doing back then.
Lot just seemed like a cop out.
Yeah.
It's like Harry and Noe had too much time left. Alright. So now when we get to chapter 12 in Genesis, we see something unique. So God called Abram out of his country. God said, go from your country, your people, your father's household, and to the land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. You will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. Whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you. This is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, so this isn't the first promise that God has made so far in the Bible, but this promise is like more like directly to a particular person, I feel like. Because
even last week we were just talking about how he promised never to destroy the world. Yeah, go on, my fault.
And just think about it like, God saying, okay, I will make you a great nation. Your name will be great. You will be a blessing. And through you, all the peoples of the earth will be blessed. I mean, this right here is already another foreshadowing to Jesus coming, because we know Jesus came from Abraham, and you can search it in
Chronicles or Numbers.
No, you gotta go to Matthew. There's a genealogy in Matthew, and there's a genealogy also in Luke, where one goes back straight to Adam, and one goes back to Abram.
And that's kind of the point I was trying to make last week. Like the argument that the earth is millions of years old it's actually a weak argument if you're a Christian.
If you're a Christian, like to me, a Christian shouldn't really. I really don't say a Christian can believe in that. Because if you believe in the Bible, and you have a calculator,
straight up,
you could within a couple hundred years, kind of assume how old the earth is.
Exactly.
You might not be spot on, but with a couple hundred years, you could become pretty close.
Yeah. The only thing I say is that some people that might just not be important information to them. You know what I'm saying? That's the only logical explanation. Because like if you go through this, if you seriously just follow the Bible and like study like in the book of Genesis, by the time you make it to Abram, you like, this ain't really been going on long. It's only a few generations that passed, you know, that didn't have something significant, you know. So yeah, that's interesting. So you say Luke and Matthew?
Yeah, Luke and Matthew. I got a question for y'all though.
What's up?
If God was to tell you, move from your land right now, how easy would it be for you to do that?
From based on the verse, I think it would be a little bit easier because God told him to go, but God also told him to go with reward. Like, you get what I'm saying? It was very much like go, because Abram realized the significance and the not even that he would just do it for the reward, but God quickly told him after, based on this verse, go, but also go because this will make you great. This will make your lineage great. This will make generations beyond you great. So it's this one decision that you hold on your shoulders that's going to change the entire world. And I think, and honestly, God was riding for him for real, because he was like, I'm gonna bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. So it's like, yo, God is really like your homeboy. Like, this is like the biggest ride or die, like, you know, for real. Like,
But would you have any questions?
Honestly, not with a promise like that.
That's all inclusive for you.
That's the all inclusive, because it's like, not only, because sometimes when God makes promises, that don't mean you're gonna see it in your lifetime. Especially in the Bible, you know, there's things that you know are like your family's gonna be blessed.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're making that decision for your family. And although that's a great thing, a lot of people still would do that. It's like, no, I'm still gonna make you great in your lifetime. You're gonna see the fruits of this labor, and your children and your children's children and the nations beyond you. And I think that's like a huge weight to carry. But at the same time, it's like, yo, God is giving me this opportunity. It's like, why not? It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a quote Godfather offer that you
Right.
can't refuse. You know what I mean? But so here's let me just add a little level of difficulty to this.
Yes, contrarian.
Sorry, if you are Abram or Sarai, and you know that you are up in age, and you have not, and you don't have any children, let's assume that they tried. That still wouldn't inspire any questions. How will I be like? How will I be a great like? How are we pulling this off? Like, how will I be a great nation and so blessed without offspring? And we thinking about a time when having a son, or just having a son was a big deal, because you have to pass your stuff on to somebody, and
Right.
you know.
And that's a big question too, only because the Bible literally says she was barren before he even said it.
Exactly.
So that's a good point.
You said it says what?
Because the Bible already said that she was barren. You remember, just like
Right.
like you know.
I think something to also consider, though, is that he is 75, but 75 is not our 75. You get what I'm saying? So it's like perspective. 75 is a long time, but biblically, it may not be that long.
I mean, but right then and there, we know they wasn't living as long anymore.
Yeah,
Because
they
his
weren't
daddy
living
just
as
died
long.
at 205, so
Right.
he about halfway there, buddy.
Well, 205, he got almost,
100 more years?
Yeah.
But you done there's popping no kids at 35.
That is true.
that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think definitely there'll be like questioning your spirit, maybe, but I don't know. I can't really say because I'm not in a situation, of course, but I think it's definitely something that it's like God told you this. So even if you don't really understand how you're gonna be a great nation, it's like God already said it, so it has to come to pass.
Kaz, what say you?
Honestly, like if I was Abram, if God was to come to me and tell me this, it would be better if I was in the Bahamas at the time. Because that would be an opposite comparison, because I believe that, you know, he was pretty stable when God tell him that. You understand what I'm saying? That would be a big pill to swallow. You know? I don't know if I'd be inquisitive that much, because you gotta based on like and this kind of go into what Ayanna was saying, you gotta think about how God even come on to him. He come on to him telling them all the perks.
Right.
Some of these perks so big that it's like I might not even care what else coming with this. You know what I mean? Like you telling me that I about to be just a walking blessing. If someone bless me, they bless. If someone curse me, they curse. You understand? And then it's gonna be my seed is gonna be, numerous and all of that. Like, and I don't think anybody would refuse that for sure. But just the idea of just getting up and going though,
Right. That's yeah.
that could bring on some anxiety, and that could be something where I might ask questions though. Just to understand.
I mean, personally, I think I'm gonna be kind of a Moses here. Like, okay, God, you're telling me to do this, but really? I mean, here's my thing. We know Abram. That's one thing I respect with Abram. We didn't have any questions, but I mean, in modern society, when we're looking at moving to a different city, like God didn't even telling us move. Like, he's saying we just since we feel like we were led, whatever, but we're saying, okay, what's the advantage of moving to this particular city? What's the environment? Is the crime rate high? Is there good opportunities for work? The good opportunities to have like a side hustle? Is a good ways to like raise my kids. What are the taxes? How much money the government's gonna be taking from me?
Yeah, all important questions.
So it's like all of these things, even though like some things was different in Abram's time, but like we put it in his perspective, he didn't ask like, okay, will my cattle have enough food to eat? Will I be killed? Will I be in a different city with like, human sacrifices? Like God just said, you know what? God didn't even tell him where he was going.
That's what I was just thinking.
That's the thing. God didn't even tell him where he was going. Like half the time when we're considering moving, we have different options. Like we know we're trying to move to Chicago or LA or New York or Orlando. You know what I'm saying? So like we have different options. So like we can weigh it out. Abram, God just said, go where I'm going to show you.
Yeah,
ain't no reference point. You ain't asking about like you can't even ask your friend, like y'all have, but what's going on in Canaan on the Negev or I don't know, AI, these different cities. Like you could ask about it, but you don't know where you really don't know where your final point is going to be. I respect that about Abram honestly, because I know me, I'd have some questions, buddy. When they say you're too smart for your own good, I'd have some questions.
Abram dread for that.
Abram dread for that. I mean, and I even want to even talk about a little bit more like why God even asked him to leave, because where they were at in at the time, there was a lot of idol worship. And like I say, the Bible is a history book too. You can Google it. Was a city in ancient Mesopotamia that they still have ruins for to this day.
And Mesopotamia was then called
Go for it.
Babylon.
Yeah, that's a part of Babylon.
AKA where the Tower of Babel was. Babel means confusion, and Babylon is just an extension of that. You understand? So all of this right in the same vicinity, just to add context.
Exactly. So what I was saying, so there's a lot of idol worshiping going on during that time. Even, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think even his father's household might have had some idols too.
Correct.
And so God was essentially telling him, I need to remove you from this environment before I even can work on you. Because it's one thing, I know some people hear about like removing temptation altogether. So it's one thing to have faith in me. Like it's one thing to be strong. It's one thing to have willpower. It's one thing to say, okay, I'm not gonna eat a cheeseburger or ice cream. I'm not gonna eat ice cream. When it's easier to not eat ice cream at night? When you just don't buy ice cream to begin with. So when you are hungry at night, the ice cream just isn't even there.
All right.
So God was saying, you know what? It's one thing to like we keep testing your faith, but I can just remove you from all of this distraction one time.
And then guess what? You could look at the Adam and Eve situation and be like, God, are they serving God because they have no other choice? Mm-hmm. Are they serving God because they want to? And that's the reason why he put the tree in the garden. You guys can listen to episode 2, for more explanation on that. Or you could like God put him in a situation where you could stay and prove your faith by not doing this, right? But it would actually take more faith for you to leave in the first place. Mm-hmm. So that's the test in itself. You know what I mean? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because what I'm seeing from every person that they focus on in Genesis, there's always some sort of test. And the test is always obedience. Are you going to be obedient or not? And it show you the amount of faith that it takes to be obedient. First example, Adam and Eve. They put the tree in the garden. They say, eat of any tree except for that one. Mm-hmm. That test was of obedience. Boom. We know what happened. Then we have Cain and Abel. We offer sacrifices. This is something they were taught to do. Mm-hmm. We sacrifice this animal. We do it this way. All you have to do is be obedient. Mm-hmm. One wasn't obedient. God chastised, not really chastised. God speak to him about it, and he get mad. You understand? So he was just in utter defiance. Mm-hmm. Even skipping now, if we go to Noah, God say, build an ark. It's going to flood. God hitting him, and this where the faith starting to the human. The faith starting to feel more grand now. The things required of these people, because God telling Noah something where it's like you have no other examples to see what the outcome would be. But God basically have to teach him and describe to him this new thing that will happen if you don't build this. No, so you have to build this ark because this new thing, this flood is going to happen and destroy the world. It was completely unheard of. And now we have Abram, who is now being told that I want you to go. But you just have to trust me. I ain't telling you where you're going, but I want you to go. You feel me? And that was a test in itself. But like we already say we'd be down the ride. But there's some places in our mind we might not want to go.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Like seriously, there's some cities where you're like, but I just don't want to go to that city. I don't want to go to that state. I don't want to go to this country. So that might be a factor too to play to see whether you got ask God, hey God, where I going though? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then watch this. You see and we're gonna touch this in a couple seconds. But you see the route they took to get to the place where they was going. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a favorable route for Abram. You know? So it's times along the way when you could easily ask, hey God, so where you say we was going? Just for security. You know?
And there's one thing too that we even point out, like the devil corrupts so many things in our society because it's like a fad to say seeing is believing nowadays. Mm-hmm. But seeing is believing, that same line is very contradictory to what faith is. Mm-hmm. Like Abraham literally had faith because he was going to something he couldn't see.
Exactly.
Because faith is the belief in the unseen. So you don't know what's happening, but you're hoping and praying and you really believe that whatever you're putting this faith in will happen and it's not your best interest at heart. And that's what's so like everything is like that's embodiment of faith. Because you don't know what's happening. Like you said, Noah didn't know what rain was. You know what I'm saying? And he had to believe that God was going to send this flood to build this ark. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Abraham. God is saying, please go to a land that I'm going to show you. You don't know where you're going. But do you have enough faith and trust in me? The God who brought your family through the flood, preserved this line.
The God who created the world, you know what I'm saying?
The same God you were learning about, do you still have faith in me? Even though all around you is so corrupt, do you still have this faith in me to trust me? And that's just what's so amazing. I mean, because it's like, even with just saying this just now, saying, no, I have questions, it's like, bro, like, how strong is my faith? Because like, even like me reading the Bible, sometimes you got to check yourself. Because, like I said, these ain't Bible, like these just ain't characters, these are real human beings who lived. So, he had this much faith. Why can't I have this much faith? Why even now I'm saying like, yo, God, you want me to do this? But why having so much questions about it? Because, I mean, even though we're sinful beings, if we have our faith and trust in God, meaning we have our best interest at heart, why aren't we moving? Because God calls us to act. Like, the Bible says faith without works is dead. So you have the faith, and you're not putting it into action, then do you really have faith? That's the real question, because it's one thing to say it, but it's the next thing to actually do it. But people confuse the work before the faith. No, because like works ain't getting you into heaven. Like you ain't like this stuff you ain't here. You ain't doing this, but like, are you doing it because of your faith?
Right. And like on the topic of checking yourself, bro. Interesting you said that, because once you realize the theme with all of these people and how they were tested in obedience, you have to really ask yourself, how was I tested? And I honestly, I don't really know, if I ask myself that question, I don't know with all tests, I done failed.
Exactly, man.
You know what I mean? And I show us a lot of them. You feel me? But you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of times, man, it just take by faith, take a lot of self-control, it take a lot of courage and energy to be faithful.
Discipline.
And discipline, for sure. And sometimes it's just out of convenience, you just don't want to do this.
Yeah, man, and like, I know we're probably belaboring this point, but at the same time, it's just even good because faith is an important topic all throughout the Bible, and like we all face different circumstances in our life where we need faith. Because I mean, I'm going through stuff right now with Kaz, you know about, but it's like in times like this, like you still have to have faith because you really don't know what your next move is going to be. You don't know how things are going to play out. But if you trust in God to work things out for you, and you know like God has your best interests at heart. I have a plan for you, says I know the Lord. You know what I'm saying? A plan for the prosper and to see, and a plan not for harm. Like if you claim all of these biblical promises, and it's more than just saying it, you actually have to clasp onto and actually believe and hope for it, and like, you know, have faith in it. So you believe all of these things, then why are we really worried? Because if God says he got us, he has us. And though a storm may come, and though you might be asked to do something that you really don't want to do because it ain't convenient, because you're comfortable where you're at, sometimes God is only saying, no, you might be comfortable here, but you're not growing here. I need you to grow. Because he told Abram, you are going to be a great nation, but guess what? You only could be a great nation if you leave this country. You're only going to be a great nation if you do X, Y, and Z.
And I want to mention that you cannot grow in comfort.
No.
Everything you're comfortable with, you've already mastered to some degree. Mm-hmm. For you to grow, this have to be uncharted territories you going into, and because it's brand new, it's not going to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. You understand? So that's a life thing. You know what I mean? That don't only apply to God. That apply to everything in life. If you're trying to do new techniques and whatever your discipline is, it's going to be uncomfortable to go through this. But that's how you get to grow, and that's things like that also builds character. Mm-hmm. So we talking about a guy who's very disciplined. Excuse me, who's very disciplined, who had great character and crazy blind faith. Abram.
Mm-hmm. So that's Abram and faith. I mean, hopefully you guys got something from that faith conversation, because it's really important to check yourself with your faith. Honestly, like even in small daily actions, it's really important to check your faith.
I think a quick note in that too is that God doesn't require. I don't think God requires these people, especially in the Bible, to have this like extreme faith, right? Because He always gives. It's always just a small missing part that requires faith, right? So like in this story, you have Abram. He tells him he wants to go somewhere where I will show you, right? I think that's the part that requires the faith. But then he still has a promise, right? You have like Moses, God told him, go to Pharaoh, right? And tell him to let my people go, right? Mm-hmm. The faith was the how. How is that going to work, right? Mm-hmm. How is it going to work, like literally? And then also, how is that going to work through me? That was Moses's hesitation, mm-hmm. right? But it's like God doesn't give us these tests that require us to figure it all out. It's just one part that requires faith. And I think that's something we have to remember. It's like God is not asking us for this huge, because He already gives us pieces. It might be the beginning and the middle and we missing the end. He might give us the beginning and the end and we missing the middle. Mm-hmm. Or we might not even just know the how, right? But it's like, if you really think about it, God is not asking us for such a large part. It's like, because He wants us to, in order to have faith, in a sense, you have to be able to trust that what I am giving you is what's best for you, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like God has to give, not has to, but logically in our human nature, we need some sort of God, basically. So it's like, all right, if God says this is the end, then you already have a promise. If God says this is what you're going to do, then you already know that somehow, if God is telling you to do it, it's going to come into fruition. Like, you get what I'm saying? So it's these small pieces of faith that I think are important. And like the Bible says, it says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. Exactly. Right? So it's like, literally, God is pleased with us having just enough faith to move. And I think that's like a very important thing. Like,
Faith the size of a mustard seed.
Exactly. So I think that's, and boy, we on this topic a little while, but I think that's,
topic, though.
yeah, no, I think that's actually important to note, you know, because God so dread, and dread to our non-Bahamian viewers, it just means good, or,
Very good.
or cool,
Yeah.
or dope, as they say in America. God is so dope, right? That he don't make you have to think. You understand? Like, you imagine doing something you don't have to think.
Right.
All you have to do is do.
right.
You understand? And I feel like that's good because he take a lot of the responsibility away from us. You know, but
Right.
then to a lot of people that's where the anxiety lie. Because a lot of us want to be masters of our own destiny,
Right.
of our own fate, F-A-T-E. You understand? We want to be in control of that. But nah, God giving you this Godfather offer, but you don't know how.
Right.
You don't know how. So that could really be conflicting to some people. But like you say, it ain't a lot of faith you're asking it of. Like it ain't something that you can't handle.
Right.
And then this is my last point. We might feel like God telling us stuff, but he ain't telling us the whole thing. But the God who knows us better than we know ourselves is telling us everything we need to know.
Right.
Everything we need to know.
That's an important point right
You
there.
feel me? So, like to us, and it could go, it could take the form of, if God gives us more, we always can still have the questions.
Right.
He could lay the whole plan out. Be like, you sure?
Or it seems
But what about
impossible.
this? You feel me? And it seems impossible sometimes.
Yeah.
And we could talk about this later in another story.
Yes.
Sometimes, if God tell you everything you need to know, you will be scared.
Exactly.
This might scare you away. Like, oh no, this can't happen. We gotta do this. Sometimes it's literally for in your best interest
Right.
that you don't know everything.
God told Abram, I want you to go here and you gotta pass through here. Guess what?
He'd be like, hold on, now,
Abram would have
God.
said, can we reroute?
Exactly.
Can we do a different way of getting there? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's the part that God don't need you to know.
All right, so Genesis 12 verse 4. You was gonna say something, right?
No, keep going,
Come on.
man.
Genesis 12 verse 4. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. I'll just let you know I was a little nervous when I chose the number 75 out earlier. I wasn't sure, but I was like, all right, just thank God that is fact check. And Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. So interesting about this, we know the man was 75, we know he had a wife and his brother's son,
His nephew.
but he also took with him all of the substance that they had. That's interesting to me because, and now this ain't no indication of how much substance or anything that he had, but
We could get into that in a bit.
exactly. So let's just say he had a moderate amount of possessions and stuff like that. We know that this guy wasn't just, like, I feel like sometimes people just think of the people in the Bible as minimalists. They live in these, I don't know if there's huts, or I don't know how people is picture it. But there were some people that were wealthy. Even some people in this line of Abram that were wealthy, that were not poor, impoverished
Handsomely
people,
rich.
handsomely rich. I would like to say, and then guess what? God just say he was gonna bless Abram. You understand?
Right.
So even if you just a regular person now, at the end of this journey, you could be big time.
Exactly.
You know? And so like that, I just want us to have to keep that in mind as we progress through the story.
Yeah, because they say he gathered all his possessions.
Exactly.
Man. And then so the story goes on to say like he passed through Canaan. And so and the Bible literally, like the Bible makes sure to mention the Canaanites were in the land. And if we fast forward a couple hundred years, only like, I want to say, I don't know how long. I mean, they was in I'm gonna say 1,000. Just throw it out there because I know they was in slavery for 400 years in Egypt, and we still got Isaac and Jacob and all them and they children and so it's a while. But we know when the spies went to visit the land of Canaan, they called them giants they call them. They had a vine of grapes. The two human beings to carry a cluster of grapes. I mean, that's just a lot. So we know Canaan was reckless from time.
For sure.
And so the Bible makes sure to reference this here because I mean during that time, even in history, you can go back and check. They was doing human sacrifices there. They was doing all kind of wars and ungodliness that was happening. So Ayanna made reference to this earlier. God made Abram go through a certain route. And if Abraham had inquired before time, he might have been a little hesitant to go this route. So you imagine this now. God just called you out of your comfort zone. The place where you were set up, nicely established. Everybody know Abram. Abraham, got that money. Abraham sitting good, living good. God calls you out of that town. And you passing through
the ghetto, right? Or the hood. Or enemy territory.
Deep ghetto, deep enemy territory.
And then guess what?
And they know you ain't belong.
And then guess what? You ain't in no car. And there's a bunch of people with you. So so he's so fast he can go. You feel me?
Exactly. So now you're seeing all of this, but then the Lord's still showing amongst us like, look around. To your descendants, I will give you this land. And that's powerful. Because you've seen all of these people around doing all kind of wickedness and treachery or whatever you want to call it. But God said, no, look around, take a look. Like look at this. This will be your land. Your children will have this land. Your descendants, you might not see it, but your descendants will have this land. Just take a look at it. Take it all in. And that's powerful right there.
Yeah, that's great. Bro, and like they saying this amount of faith, bro. Did he have a GPS?
No.
So it's just something in him telling him, hey, we going this way. We going that way. You know what I mean? The Bible don't mention that God keeps saying, all right, take a left, take a whatever. You feel me? But it's like, since you connected to the Holy Spirit, you inspired and you know this the way we going. Like you just have a feeling. Like you have a feeling in you. And then you might be saying, hold on, why are they taking me through this corner? You know what I mean? Why are we taking this route? And it's stuff that can scare you, but then guess what? He still do it. He still walk through. There was no hesitation. The Bible don't mention it was hesitation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I talk about this amount of faith. And like some people might not realize the amount of faith he had to apply just to do this task.
Exactly. And what we know, God tests this particular man
Multiple times.
Multiple times. So now you see, he built an altar to God talked to him. He said, I'm going to build an altar to commemorate this. And then they moved to Bethel and he pitched a tent and he built another altar to the Lord. So, the same thing that we've seen from Cain and Abel town still being passed down to the people who actually follow the one true God. They're still building altars, they're still sacrificing to them. And this is still things that you will see continually as we go through the book of Genesis. And so now Abram, there I go again. Abram, in his journey he went to Egypt. So that was a famine. And so now one thing, I know people are going to say, they're talking about faith again. But here's the thing. So now imagine this. You came out of your land of comfort. You got all your cattle, because we already established this man was kind of wealthy. So wealth in that days, it wasn't really silver and gold as much, even though that was a part of your wealth. But when you had a lot of livestock, a lot of camel, a lot of goats, a lot of cows and sheep, you were wealthy because you had a lot of assets. That was the main assets back in the day. And so there's a famine happening. Ain't no water coming, ain't no grass growing. And so they went down to Egypt. But now, Abram, this man of faith, he was a little shaky here. This is little his little A- on his A+ report card.
Exactly. he showed some weakness here.
So now,
and I might say Egypt is the second country in Africa that has been mentioned in the Bible so far.
you're right.
Ethiopia and Egypt.
The two E's.
You understand? Only 12 chapters in 2 countries in Africa already been mentioned. And that's something for people to understand just the immediate area that the characters of the Bible started in Africa. Because it's some people who feel like the Bible and Christianity is a white man's religion given to us in slavery. But I'm here to tell you all that this stuff has happened literally thousands of years before slavery. Even thousands of years before Jesus came, which we know Jesus was here before slavery, that the Bible was in Africa, taking place live from Egypt, you know what I mean? From Ethiopia.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And so, Abram tell Sarai, my bad, you know. Sarai, I know you beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I chose you. This is real paraphrasing, you know what I'm saying? This is why I chose you. But guess what? You too beautiful. I know all the Egyptians. See, back in the day, they thought it was just Pharaoh would have won.
I telling you.
You know, I read the fine print. All the Egyptians will want you when they see you. Just imagine. You know when you can walk into the city with confidence, bro, and say, you is it. This man say, bro, I know my wife is it.
For sure, undeniably it.
Undeniably it. Boy, oh boy.
Well, that's impression now.
Yeah.
Earl, we about to get super Bahamian now. But I'm sure you and I, as well as the majority of young Bahamian men, have been to Junkanoo.
Oh boy.
And that's a place you don't particularly want to carry your significant other.
That's stressful.
Because it's a lot of attention, I'll say, you will get.
Too much.
So even when you go to any type of function where you know there's going to be people there who you just can't really control their actions, you have a talk with your girlfriend or your significant other. You say, hey, baby, all right, so watch this, right? You about to walk through this crowd of men.
Okay.
They about to try you. Don't even look. No matter what they say, just have the tunnel vision and just keep it moving. And we'll exit this situation as soon as possible. See my girl there, and I can't even get like, oh, it's get from them, you know. but seriously, like sometimes you have to give your girlfriend a talk. And this, it might seem like you care about your girlfriend a lot, but this is an act to protect yourself.
Act of selfish, because you know what can come if something goes astray, and you gotta defend.
You have to defend her honor sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like your honor too.
Yeah.
It's really been the end of the day, it's your honor. I mean, not even disrespect the girlfriend, but it's like, even we see it with Abram. Abram said, guess what? They can kill you, they can kill me for you.
Exactly. You could still be alive at the end of this.
You can still be alive.
I'm a goner.
You know what I'm saying? At Junkanoo, you like, bro, I'm gonna be the one who might get
I can get beat up. Because it's only me and my girl.
Yeah,
and it's like 10 dudes and it's multiple groups that you have to pass like
Exactly.
this. You understand?
Exactly.
So it just ain't worth the hassle. Just ignore them. Just ignore them and keep moving.
Please. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, we can talk about it later. You can call me a punk or whatever later. We'll deal with that later. Let's just get home. You know what I mean?
Just get home safe. Yeah, man. So like, and then Abram said, you know what? Let's make a plan. We can just say use my sister.
But did he lie though?
The sad thing is, he ain't lied, but did he tell the full truth?
Did not tell the full truth.
And that's the problem.
See, and exactly, because we knew he said this out of his own mouth, if they know you are my wife, they will kill me.
Exactly.
So he didn't tell him that was his wife.
Exactly.
And that's false, because it was his wife.
Exactly.
It just so happened to also be his sister.
Exactly.
His half-sister, by the way.
Okay.
I don't know if it makes people sleep a little better. And that's why I wanted to talk about Nahor's wife earlier. You know, because that was the guy's niece. Now, granted, we don't know if they was in the same age bracket or whatever. That's too deep. I don't even really want to get in that bucket.
Getting too deep.
No, you understand? But we do know that Terah had Sarai as his daughter as well as Abram. You feel me? So he get to Egypt, and it wasn't even just the Egyptians who found her fair enough to try to harm Abram for her. The princes saw her. And this is why I trying to tell you, this lady was otherworldly fine.
Bro. I just can imagine.
Bro, the princes didn't say, I want her for me, bro.
No.
They say this gotta go to Pharaoh.
Exactly.
This guy,
Because Pharaoh was gonna kill them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just think about it. They said this woman is so beautiful. This woman is so beautiful. I ain't even worthy of having her.
No, I can't. I just don't compute. I can't pull something like this.
The only person who's worthy of having this level of beauty in the country is the king.
It's the king.
Right.
It's the king.
It's the king.
So what would you do if Kazi was to be like, yo, we about to go to this?
No, that's a good question.
I'm gonna be his sister.
Okay, thank you.
You hold it down like
I'm
that.
gonna be his sister.
Thank you.
Oh.
They gonna kill him?
So where's your faith?
Yeah, you ain't double down?
Where's your faith?
Yeah, I respect that. I respect that. Especially how we know what the outcome could be.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Oh my.
This is the thing though. She had to also know she was beautiful.
For sure.
Yeah, right. But so I just can play like devil's advocate, right? We just talk about Abram moving. You specifically in saying God already promised him X, Y, and Z. So why God gonna let you get killed if he still gotta make a great nation out of you?
That's very true. That is very true.
So I'm saying the sin of the faith it take to move you from Ur and through Canaan and to get to Egypt, shouldn't the sin of the faith last year too?
It should. Now, I will say, although we didn't know this, God already knew that was going to happen. Don't mean it was okay. But it's like, I think that's a very key point. Because it's like, God still made a promise. Right? And although this could have kind of put a wrench in the plan, I feel like it was like, no, I already made this promise and I told him to do this. So because he's doing this, I can't allow this lie, right? This part to deter us from the plan, which is why we got there, but why God, the plagues and stuff. But I definitely do understand that, like, he should have the faith, because it's like, obviously God already promised it him, so nothing that was on the journey would have prohibited him from getting to the promise. But me being Sarai, I would have been his sister.
So let me show you something that make this even more interesting. Should Abraham have taken this approach, considering that God said, I would bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee?
So basically, you saying God was already saying they tried to do you wrong. I was already gonna handle that.
Exactly.
I get that.
So, but that, see, at the end of the day, you could tell yourself to be this way or to act this way, but then when you in a situation, you can't control how it make you feel. You know what I mean? He could have known all of this, but just out of fear. This could have been the first time in my life was ever really threatened before. And this ain't no simple thing. This the king.
Yeah.
You know you will die. This ain't no. You don't have to think about this. You know what I mean? Like how like you might
Got
be
hundreds of hitmen.
exactly. So like when Jacob was fighting in the wilderness, he in his heart he knew I have a chance. If I kill this guy, I'm not gonna die.
Exactly.
So I have a fair shot against Pharaoh.
Yeah, no.
Just you one-on-one, you don't got a chance. You know what I mean? So that might have been the way he thinking, but I still show a lack of faith there. So we praise Aaron for his faith before, so we just have to keep it fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was a weakness in his faith. When his life was on the line, and then it could have been him having a weakness for his lady too. You know what I mean? Just trying to do his best for her in our situation.
And he spoke with conviction too, because he said, if you my wife, I will be killed. So he didn't even have the faith to think that it was a possibility. He said, but if you my sister, they would treat me well. Like this is a concrete thing. It's not no room for like.
Yeah.
I mean, and in his, even saying this defense, we know she shouldn't have lied. But Pharaoh did treat him good.
Boy.
He did.
They gave him sheep. They gave him more donkeys, more ox, more servants. You know what I'm saying?
God said, let me get this man back on the road.
But even before that, like they say, okay, y'all, she beautiful. They take her to her and they just say, oh, you're her brother? Okay, here you go.
Yeah, you can live good.
Troubles.
Yeah.
For your troubles.
Man, see, but it's still a blessing at the end of the day too. But you never know. If he had just stick to his guns, the blessing might have even been even.
It might
greater.
have even been more. And that's the thing. So it's like we see what God did to Pharaoh, right? But at the same time, in our lack of faith, we don't know what blessings we cost ourselves or forfeit. Forfeit is a better word. We don't know what blessings we forfeited, or we took away an opportunity for God even to shine His greatness even more. Because acts of faith is when God does His best work. Because at that point you're relying on Him to pull through for you.
Right.
So now you giving God a chance to shine and give more glory and honor to Him. When we start leaning on our own understanding, we start coming up with things our own way. We ain't consulting God. God's like, okay, we're gonna do that. Okay, guess. But I want to do this for you. Your way may have worked. Like you might have come up with like an 80 on the paper. You still passed, but God's gonna give you 105%.
As a Jew, He's gonna give you some bonus.
Yeah, because God will give you more than we even can hope or dream or ask for. So it's like, that's the thing. So like you only can live with the results that you got, but you never know what God would have done for you in that aspect.
For sure.
Could this in any way, have been God's plan?
Well, I think it was God's plan for the outcome. But at the same time, it's like, God don't set you up to fail. You know what I mean? So, because he put you in this situation, you wasn't gonna fail. So you ain't even had to take this precaution. The way I feel.
But
Let me put it like this. With Jacob and Esau, God promised Jacob that he was gonna have the birthright. That was in his plan. But Jacob deceived his father, Isaac, to get the birthright. And as a result, he had to run. He had to be on the run for years.
so God just wouldn't require us to have to use deception.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say, because then he still acquired wealth and camels and
That's a fact.
great things.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, so, like, and that's kind of my point. Like, you still came out okay, but it might have not been exactly the fullness of what God had in store for you.
Right.
So I mean, like in college, if I get an 80 on a paper and some stuff in engineering, I was happy.
Exactly.
Now if I get 100, I elated, but I content with my 80, buddy. You know what I'm saying? So I content with this. So this good.
So that's to work it out for him.
So like, it's like sacrificing the good for the great.
Yeah.
You could have had great, but you got good.
Yeah.
You okay with good, but you messed it on the great.
Right.
So it's like, which one would you rather?
I understand that.
And then remember, you say, I will curse those that curse you.
Right.
So, you stop, bro. Like, you sealed.
And that's the next thing too. Like God probably even
You
brought him
can
to
walk
Egypt too.
For sure.
Because we, just like how he knew what the outcome would have been is that. But at the same time, Pharaoh, I guarantee you, I can't guarantee you, but I feel in my heart I can guarantee you that Pharaoh could have not killed Abram.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter what he do.
Just like how Pharaoh couldn't have killed, just like how the other Pharaoh couldn't have killed Moses.
Right.
It wasn't going to happen. God wasn't going to let it happen. And even if he tried, you see, God still cursed him at the end of the day. Just like when God told Moses, we bring to Moses a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
But just like how God told Moses to talk to the rock and I'll bring forth water, and Moses hit it, the water still flowed from the rock.
That's a perfect example.
Exactly, but Moses still lost out on his promise. He couldn't go into the promised land no more.
So you see where it was instruction, right? And there was the same outcome,
Right.
but there was consequence because of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't follow the exact
Right.
instructions. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I mean, but at the same time, good thing it still work out fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He probably his punishment probably was having anxiety that your wife get taken into the house in Egypt.
Yeah.
And you ain't know what Pharaoh got in store for. You know them Egyptians, they had all type of rituals and all. You don't know what was gonna go down. You understand?
And the funny thing is, right? I like how Abram didn't even admit to Pharaoh that was his wife.
Boy,
Pharaoh, after the plagues come, Pharaoh called him and said, bro, wait, what you do to me?
right?
Yeah.
What you do, bro? If you had told me this was your wife, like why you gonna lie to me and tell me it's your sister, bro? Like, why you tell
She just keep it real with me, dog.
and like, even to go back to your point, like Pharaoh even said, bro, why doesn't you keep it real with me?
Yeah.
You and your fair, you lie to me. You costing me now. First, like, let's go.
Let's go.
I don't even.
Right. Pharaoh feel like a innocent.
Yeah, like I don't even do nothing
I
wrong.
do this maliciously.
Yeah.
Like I'm just getting your sister as my wife.
Yeah.
There ain't no wrong.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right. So for the listeners, we read in Genesis 12 verse 17, and after Pharaoh took Sarai into the house of Pharaoh and he gave Abram the sheep and the oxen, etc. It says in 17, and the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife.
Plural.
Great plagues.
God in Egypt.
He ain't, but he ready. He ready to plague up Egypt, bro. I tell you that. I tell you that. See, because you just got to show the type of people Egypt was, bro.
Yeah, but
And then
God
looking
didn't play with that.
at us now, bro. A lot of people is saying, oh, Christianity come from Egypt. Us black people, we really supposed to be one with our spirituality, and they want to do all type of voodoo and all type of rituals. But they don't even understand, bro. Even back in these days, it was all type of human sacrifices and all type of weird pagan stuff going on in Egypt. That's a fact. Like, even through the Bible, you don't see no evidence that Egypt was ever fearing the Most High God.
No.
You understand? As a matter of fact, when the Israelites came to Egypt, they ended up picking up all type of strange gods because of the Egyptians.
Right.
And Anyway, I ain't even gonna jump the gun there. But yeah, seriously, so because of that, these guys, they were kind of like enemies to God in a sense, because they would just
Do the
Contrary.
yeah, like all type of weird sacrifices that displease God, because God says He's a jealous God, and that's another reason why. Back to Moses, when God come down, when God give them the 10 Commandments, He had to explain to them, but I's a jealous God, you know. Y'all worshiping all these idols and stuff like that. This don't make me happy at all. This don't flatter me, you know. All right, and Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, she is my sister? So I might have taken her to me to wife. Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way." And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had.
Y'all think he just knew, or y'all think Sarah told him when he asked Sarah, or that's all? Cause he just come up to him like, "Why didn't you tell me this was your wife? I know this your wife. Hey, all this stuff happening to me. This your wife." like you know what I'm saying? He asked no questions. But I wonder if there was ever a time where there was a little part missing where he got some clarity.
So that is possible, but I personally do not think that anybody had to tell him that.
Yeah, maybe
'Cause
God. Maybe God.
Maybe God, but then at the same time, it's like I was saying, these people are always very spiritual people.
Right.
You know, true, they already going through a famine, and so already a lot of bad
And
luck
they have all
happening.
these other extra people on the side doing all type of spiritual stuff. They could have told him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you it's like for the process of elimination.
Yeah,
I
for
come
sure.
here, and everything was cool while we was here. But when I take this woman into my house, now all type of great plagues. This ain't no simple thing. Like
Exactly.
you understand? Like if it's a great plague, it's like the pestilence we seeing now.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't the common flu. What he getting? This is a pandemic.
Exactly.
What he see? What he
You get
experiencing?
ravaged with stuff.
Exactly. So you like, hold on now. It's certain stuff where you just have to be like, oh no. Something wrong happened.
Something's different.
I remember I was still when I first moved to Orlando. You remember my situation. I was just getting a lot of bad breaks. I was talking to my cousin, right? And I telling him, yeah, my car this and my apartment XYZ. He said, bro, you steal from the church or something, bro? Yeah, I said, I steal. And that was so funny to me. Because I had to really reflect and I had to be like, bro, is God mad at me? Like, because I never even really thought of it that way.
Job.
You know, right? Exactly. But I don't think God was mad at me. That was probably just a test of faith too.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But Pharaoh, to answer your question, I believe that Pharaoh, he just was able to put 2 and 2 together. I do this, and now this is happening. It have to be because of this, And they was aware of the God that they serve. So that just makes perfect sense. But Pharaoh's like, no, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I still blessing you with all the riches, but get out of my sight.
Pharaoh's like, take it and go.
Get away.
Take it and go. Then so Abram, gonna say something else? Yeah, so Abram left with his wife and his nephew and everything they got blessed with.
So now they rich or not?
Yeah, and the Bible even says Abram became very wealthy in livestock, silver and gold now. Like this man, he was rich before, now he went from rich to wealthy. He went from rich to very wealthy. He skipped wealthy.
Just like that.
Yeah, like people think rich and wealth is the same thing. No, they are different.
Yeah.
And then you taking care of all of these people who with you too, all of these servants and stuff like that.
And you think how much more money you have to have.
Exactly, because you have to feed them. You might have to pay them too. You understand?
And that's when people understand. Like they talk about slavery in the Bible, but if you realize how God had slavery and servantism, it was completely different.
For sure.
What black people went through and every other slavery since then.
See, no, but the servant thing that would be equivalent to having like a maid or whatnot. Yeah, you understand?
They still getting taken very well care of, bro. And there's some of these butlers and stuff working for the queen and that, but they making more money than all of us.
Yeah,
They're
for sure.
very well
as a
perks.
As a matter of fact, bro, I have a family member.
I was gonna say, yeah, you had one, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. On my dad's side, who was a butler.
I was gonna say, cause he's a king, low key.
I wish. Who was a butler for some of the royal family. I bar with names. I can't even tell you the guy name, and I'm glad I don't know because it's in the people business right now. You feel me? But it's like even the stories that I told through my family, like you just understand all of the perks. And he was able to travel and go to places like you know what I'm saying? Like just go places and stuff. So it's definitely perks. Like I don't think was complaining.
Man, and then we even get to a story that even show how wealthy Abram and his family, even Lot, had become. Because now we see, we in chapter 13 now, but now we're seeing how Abram and his herdsmen, and Lot and his herdsmen, they start quarreling. Like
You know, in the Western movies when they say this town ain't big enough for the both of us. That's how I picture that though, and they were being real.
Yeah, like so. Just imagine how much it's like, bro. We don't have enough pasture to graze all our sheep together. And now,
That's the problems you want to have though.
and then think about it now. You got like, if you was Abram's like servant, you look at that Lot servant like, bro, you the nephew, bro. I
telling
don't
you,
say anything,
I
bro.
should. You know
Y'all
what I
go
mean?
somewhere.
Yeah, like y'all go somewhere.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, he get all this from his uncle anyway, bro.
I'm telling
So
you.
this Abram shit.
Yeah. Exactly. For true.
Like-
For true.
And then Abram called Lot and say, bro, all right, you're getting a little old now. This whole bickering between our people, we just don't need this.
Yeah.
We close relatives, you know, we just gonna keep, you know, our name good. We need no animosity between us. We don't need to be a bickering family. That's just part of our ways. And I respect Abram for that.
Yeah,
'Cause
like a man. That's a manly thing to do.
a lot of people today, they rather fight. Abram said, you know what? To maintain our relationship,
Yeah.
let's just part ways.
And he did it in the noblest of ways.
Bing.
He say, bro, if you go east, I go west. You understand? If you go, bro, wherever you go, I can go the opposite.
I go
way.
the opposite.
And I want you to have first preference in the
Big.
land. Because all of this land was already promised to me. And you were part of my clan. So you could get the best fruits or whatever. Just take it and I'll go the opposite way.
Man, the thing, like, what's so powerful that Abram saying, you know what? I ain't even gonna pick first just to make sure you say I ain't picking the best one.
Exactly.
Because it's human nature to try to pick the best. So Abram said, you know what? I giving you first preference. So you literally can't say I swinging you. Because you will pick the best.
Exactly. And I know my nephew.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
you will pick the best.
And I want the best for my nephew.
Big.
Still, yeah.
So you go that way. And I ain't trying to follow behind you. I ain't saying, okay, in a year I can come this way. No. You go that way,
What do you think?
I go in the complete opposite direction.
That's perfect though, because you already, it's like when families, they groom their children and set them up to be very functional in the real world. I give you this bank account from a long time, you're working on your credit, but now it come a time and it's like, all right, it's time for you to leave the nest. You know what I mean? And Abraham put him in the best situation that he could be in. You feel me? And he did choose the best of the land, you know?
He did.
And so Genesis 13 verse 10 where we are right now. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Shit, the Bible even foreshadowed to it.
The Bible let you know ahead of time. Yeah, don't worry.
It was appealing.
Yeah. Even as the garden of the Lord, do they mean Eden? They saying it was.
No, it wasn't the garden. But they're just talking about Jordan now because we know Eden already.
Well, watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord. So I think they saying it was well watered.
Like the garden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot shows him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves. The one
And we
from
see
the other.
like Lot chose literally the
whole
best line.
Yeah.
Well watered, everything. He said, yeah, that's me. I go in there.
Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, I get that.
Right over there.
He was walking down proud too.
Oh yeah.
Little did he know.
Boy, oh
You
boy.
messed up.
Little did he know would have waited him.
I'm telling you.
And then so we see Abram arrived in the land of Canaan, where Lot lived among the cities and the plain and pitched his tent near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom was wicked, we know, and they was greatly sinned against the Lord. And then what's interesting, again, we get to verse 14, and we see how the Lord came to Abram again. Again, and said, bro, look around. From where you are, north, south, east, west, bro, all around, bro, everything that you see, I will give you offspring. Forever.
Forever was a big part.
Forever. Like he's saying, bro, this will always be theirs. And he said, bro, I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth. So that if anyone can count the dust, then your offspring can be counted. And I mean, the main thing so far, because I think we're going to cut it here for this episode, just for Abram. I just want to say Abram so bad.
Boy, I can't wait till he turned into Abraham.
I know, bro. But Abram is a guy of faith, and like it's really interesting. I mean, to me, this episode should even be called Faith. Because we talk more about faith than Abram, but it's like intertwined. And it's just so important. It's just really so important to have that faith. Because I personally feel that God puts us in many tests daily, or even more than we would realize. Let me say that, more than we realize. Because it's the simple things and simple, like sometimes it's just simple small actions that God is testing us to see if we still love Him or if we actually don't listen to Him. There's a lot of things that people just don't realize. And not everyone, like some people really be expecting to have like a Moses experience and an Abram experience. Not like God doesn't come to you in that way. But sometimes you had a still small voice saying, you should do this. And some people just cast that voice off for years. Years. Like, I mean, just imagine. Even with that promise. Imagine if Abram still didn't leave Earl. What would have happened?
Boy, that would have been crazy.
Because here's the thing. We know how the story ends. But we always have to remember there was a choice.
Right.
There was a choice, and he didn't have to go. Now, we have evidence like Jonah and stuff where they still chose not to, and God still forced him. But at the same time, who knows? Like, this is the option, because Abram could have very well said, you know what, bro, I'm comfortable.
Right.
I'm already comfortable, I'm already set up. Why do I need to move? I'm already serving you, Lord, here.
Right.
So why do I need to move? And that's interesting. Like, faith.
See, but like you say, bro, like I wish we could have called this episode Faith. And Abram is so much to unpack, and I'm glad that we used this episode just to be the foundation. But seriously, bro, when we look in our lives and we reflect on this, how many times did we choose comfort over obedience? And I feel like it's just a sobering and inspiring thing to see Abram move in blind faith. Because it's times when you might just have a feeling in your heart, bro, that this is the route you're supposed to take. You know, but you might not know what could be on the other side of this road. And it could be something meaning I wanna go into the ministry, but the people I'm around are not Christians.
Right.
Or I wanna talk about Christianity. I wanna start this podcast that we doing, you and I. You feel me? I wanna just start doing just things just to bring about awareness for God. But I don't understand the type of pushback I'm gonna get from people. How many times have we chosen convenience over obedience? You know what I'm saying? And I just really appreciate Abram. And every episode so far, bro, I'm able to see myself in this text. You feel me? It's been times when God asking me to do this thing, to go this one place. But I have allowed people's perception or just how uncomfortable it would be for me to prohibit me. I remember one time I went on this mission trip with the choir, and I was very skeptical to go because I didn't really have a lot of friends in the choir. These were people I was familiar with, but we didn't have a close relationship. And then guess what? I'm not comfortable with going and seeing people in a worse position than me. I'm not comfortable going and administering to the detention center, seeing all of these young boys. This could have been me. These things it really hurtful for me to witness. I'm not comfortable going to homeless shelters and stuff because now I don't feel blessed. I feel sad because I have more than these people, you know? And so and this was during Thanksgiving break. In America, that's the time when you spend with family, you know? But we spent it being selfless and giving back to others. I was uncomfortable. And I just thank the Lord that I was able to be obedient and go through that. Because honest to God, I felt like I was more blessed than anybody else on that trip or anybody that we helped that the Lord was able to touch through us. I feel like I was personally touched. And it just goes to show there's blessings in being faithful, no matter what. Even if it's not our definitions of blessings. You know, so like just as we go through life and just try to understand our journey and our relationship with God, we have to think about times that are very uncomfortable to us. And instead of being complaining, we have to realize that these might actually be tests. And ask ourselves, are we going to choose convenience or obedience? Traveling in an unknown land with no clear destination was Abram, a man determined to follow God. And although he was pretty mature in age, Abram believed in God's promise that his descendants would be multiplied. Abram was destined to be the father of many nations. But let's just say his first child came a bit prematurely. But we'll talk about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by our guests, Ayanna Alberston, along with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.